Okay, Sam, what are you up to tonight?
I am picking lovage for a recipe that I'm going to do, just with a couple of slightly autumnal foraged ingredients. Lovely night in Tankernes tonight, absolutely flat calm and perfect for picking a bit of lovage. So here it is. So lovage has the smell and taste of really strong celery. It's like celery on steroids, and you can use the leaves and the stalks, which we're going to use, and then we'll take some of the flowers, and we're going to use the little seeds here as well. So that's the lovage.
What are you foraging today, Sam?
Well, I'm foraging rose hips today. We've got this lovely location in Ulfa to do so, by the sea as well. It's a lovely, I'm going to say autumnal day, but technically it's still August. But these are the rose hips here that we've been picking, and they're just starting to turn soft, which is good for me, good for brewing. They're packed full of vitamin C, and just a lovely flavour for not by themselves. If you pick up a rose hip and eat it like a cherry tomato or something, then it's a very bitter tasting fruit in this form. But we're going to be making a ketchup out of it. So that is our tomato, and it ties in with the lovage as well, and that's our celery. So we're just using foraged equivalents, and it'll be for a lobster dish as well. So here's the rose hips here on the bush, and you just pick it off at the stem and then take this bit of foliage off, and we're just after the pulp really. So we're going to be cooking that down with vinegar and sugar, and not too much sugar. I don't like too much sweetness in it, and it's a really good ketchup, and just really tasty. It makes me look forward to the autumn season, and I use a lot of the rose hips for brewing the wine initially, and then fermenting onto vinegar, and we mature it in a sherry cask as well, that gives it another sort of dimension. So yeah, that's about it for the rose hips.
Tell me what's happening in the kitchen.
Okay, so from the rose hips and the lovage, making a ketchup to garnish the lobster. So rose hips and lovage is a combination because it's an alternative to tomatoes and celery, and we just basically cook the rose hips down and the lovage with vinegar, sugar and smoked salt, and then cook it down to a sort of jammy consistency like this. So it's quite stiff, but what you're doing is just gonna, after that, extract the pulp from it, discarding all the seeds and the stuff you don't really want to eat. So to pass it, you just put the pulp into the sieve, and then back of a ladle, just apply the pressure, and then this is what you end up with, the rosehip ketchup. So it's just a nice balance of acidic, sweet, and the flavour from the rose hips, which are, it's hard to describe. They're not perfumey, but they've got a sort of autumnal taste to them. That's all I can describe it as. It's unlike anything else. But I really enjoy this ketchup, and not just because it's a foraged ingredient. I think there's too much hype about hand foraged things on people's menus and stuff like that, and this works because it tastes good, and that's exactly what I'm interested in. Oh, and the vinegar I used is my stuff that I make, and it's rhubarb vinegar. I would use rosehip vinegar, and that's where this idea came about. But it's going to take a couple of months before that's ready, because the rosehips have just come into season now. So yeah, I'll get on with cooking the lobster. So let's turn the gas on. So yeah, the lobster sat in brine. I did blanch the tail, and to keep it straight, blanched it with cocktail sticks running down there in the shell, so it doesn't curl up into a ball. I don't know why. It's just for presentation, I guess. Not going to affect the flavour, but it just pleases me, that's all. So the brine is made from sugar, salt at 10% to the water quantity, which was a litre. So that's 100 grams of salt, 100 grams of sugar, and then this lovely bronze fennel flowers, just to get that fennel aniseed sort of taste going through the lobster meat. And this sort of tenderises the lobster tail, which can be tough in comparison to the claw. The claw is just blanched, 4 minutes salted water, and you can even see out the kitchen window there's the fennel. Ignore the mess just here, that didn't happen. So yeah, we'll cook this, and basically we're just gonna get quite a lot of butter. Classically French trained, use a lot of butter, but we're not going to be eating this really. Well, we can make a sauce out of it at the end, but it's just to gently poach the lobster, or colour the lobster, sorry, not poach it. So yeah, that's the tail there. I'll just get another utensil. So get your butter, that's at foaming stage. So when you're roasting something in butter, you just wait until it stops making a noise, and then add your ingredient, add your protein, or whatever it might be. So it's still, that's all the water still left in the fat solids. And then can't hear anything anymore. That's when you drop your lobster in. If you could smell this now, it's absolutely beautiful. Just the nut brown butter and the flavour of the lobster coming through on the nose. And it's just, at this stage, it's just about controlling the butter. You don't want to concentrate on what this is doing, it's what the fat's doing. Because if you burn it, it'll go all bitty and just have that burnt flavour to it. This is sort of classical French cooking, and how you cook a piece of meat, fish, anything like that. And in butter it's a lower temperature as well. I don't know exactly how much, but it's a lower temperature than cooking oil. we'll just turn that over. So that's got a lovely deep red colour, nice roasted colour. We didn't forage this technically, but we have the capacity to because we have a creel. But so far, just got velvet and green crabs. No lobsters yet. They have eluded us. But maybe one day, can live in hope. So that's just your claws. And then I take it off the heat at this point. Just to warm the tail through. And probably because it's brine, you can get away with serving it slightly medium rare as well if you want to. Sorry, it just spat at you there. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just Lovage leaves. So we use the stalk in the ketchup. Now I'm just gonna drop the leaves in there. And just a tiny bit of the brine, because it's got the flavour of the lobster in there, it's got the seasoning, a bit of sugar. And that'll just make a nice sort of emulsified sauce. And then this is the just for extra flavour, this is the blood of the lobster. It sounds a bit gross, but just drop a little bit of that in, and then a bit more. Okay. Right. So, more forage stuff. It's just a bit of sorrel and chickweed. It's just everywhere at the moment. So you've got to know what you're looking for. You don't want to be ingesting hemlock or anything like that, because that'll kill you. But I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not instilling much confidence, but this is definitely chickweed. I know that much. So it's just some bitter leaves. I'm not going to even dress the leaves because the pan juices are going to do that. So a bit of chickweed for bitterness, and the sorrel is lemon or acidic. So it kind of cuts through, as does the ketchup, with any sort of fattiness or more sort of rounded flavours, like the sweetness of the lobster. You need something to balance that out. It's all just about balance. And then very simple presentation, nothing elaborate, because we're just concentrating on flavour here. So slightly better knife than that. Right. So just check this all right. Yeah, it's perfect. For me, it's all subjective. Let's trim this down. Right, and then just finish it with the sauce. It's like a nutty brown roasting juices. Pure flavour and forest ingredients. Do you want to try it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Don't take my word for it. What do you think of this lobster dish? I'll just give you a second to.
Gathering all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That ketchup is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it with the sorrel.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's something about the sweet and the freshness of that I love.
So did you get the aniseedy fennel flavour through the tail?
Yeah. There's a really nice balance to it. Offset each other. Oh, that's good.
Good stuff.
I'm just gonna keep eating it.
Okay, that's a wrap.